all right, everybody. We've got B.Lakeitha sitting down with us today. How you doing, B.Lakeitha?
Hello, everybody. I am okay and I am ready for all the questions involved. Nice to meet you all.
So tell everybody, all our viewers on this channel, where you're from.
So, I am from Memphis, Tennessee, and I represent my city as best as I can. But yes, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. So, yes,
Okay. Born and raised?
born and raised.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about, I guess, growing up, your younger years in Memphis. What was that like for you?
Okay, so as a child, I'm not gonna lie, I've been doing music since I was 4. I started singing at 4. I started writing at 13. I started performing at 14, 15 in high school. I even graduated with the superlatives of most talented and best hair follicles because I was known for my fro. But I cut it all off to try to do something different. And because I'm a mom now, and as a child, like, I didn't have the best upbringing. Everybody sees a pretty girl face and they just think that everything was so sweet and cool. But I went through some things as a child. I grew up kind of poor and I went through a lot of trials and tribulations being with my circumstances or whatnot. But I feel like that's what helps me create the music that I create, and the reason that I can create the great music that I do create, because there is pain behind it. There is like growth and maturity and more so yeah.
Okay. So what really got you into music?
So my mom actually got me into music because she used to be a rapper. Now I'm mixed, so my mom's white and my dad's black. But my dad was always a DJ and he grew up in the church, so he was always in choirs and stuff like that. And my mom, she's from up north, Maine, Portland, Maine to be exact. That's where she's from. And she was a redhead with blue eyes, and back in her days that was kind of weird for a lot of people her race. So she kind of vibed with the black race, and so like she ended up getting into rap, and she ended up moving to Memphis, and she kind of tied in with 3 6 Mafia at the time, and they were young and she was a little older than them, but she did a lot of rapping with them at that time, and she didn't take off with them because at the time she was pregnant with me and she didn't trust them, but that was her thing. She was known as MC Snow. And so, like, before they even stepped out and started looking for other female rappers and hip hop artists and stuff like that, she was the one that whose house that they went to after high school and stuff like that. But she was into it real deep, and I was there throughout the whole process of her doing auditions and stuff like that. So I just kind of like started listening to the old R&B artists like Alicia Keys, Usher, and all those people, and I just kind of took to them, and she just kind of pushed my career on that end. She was just more so like, hey, if this is what you want to do, right? If you feel this way, write about it. And I just kind of took off from there. Like, I just kind of fell in love with it, and she was always supportive behind it. So that's just something I kind of did to pass time and to really like get away from my problems and my childhood, and more so like that. It was my getaway. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
Okay. MC Snow, you say, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. You must have been pretty young at that time. What year was this, I guess, when your mom was with that group?
This was very much so in the 90s,
90s.
like early 90s, late 80s. So like they're like when they asked her to be a part of their group, they had a car at the time. Like they used to walk around with a tape recorder. and had, they recorded each other on a tape recorder and then put it out like that before studios and all that stuff was big and popping. Like, that stuff was very expensive at the time. So they walked around and they recorded each other on a tape recorder. And at the time that they asked her to be a part of their group, they were like, step into my office, and it was like a little Crown Vic or whatnot, and she was pregnant with me and had my older brother at the time, and she was just like, she didn't feel like, they were on that level. So she just kind of turned them down, just to find out that they ended up taking off or whatnot. So that was her biggest regret. But most definitely, it was around the early 90s. I wasn't even born at this time. So it was very exciting to even hear these stories and see the flyers of the stages that she was on and all that good stuff. So it was pretty cool.
Right, right. I bet. Okay. So, well, tell us a little bit about, I guess, the first song that you wrote. How old were you at that time, and what was that song?
So the first song I wrote, embarrassing enough, I didn't know if I wanted to be a singer or a rapper. So at the time that I wrote, I started off writing like poetry. And the very first song I wrote, Nicki Minaj was out. And so I wrote a song like trying to be like Nicki Minaj, like have that energy, have that like setup as a female, trying to be that confident and everything. And I can't remember what it was called, but I do know I said a lot of explicit stuff that I shouldn't have been saying at 14 years old. But I was definitely 14 years old when I wrote my very first song. And I wish I still had that song so I could tell you guys. But it was very exciting. But I do remember the second song I wrote. It was based off a Drake track, and Drake did a remix to Juvenile's "Back That Ass Up." And so I was like, well, he did a whole spin to that beat and that sound. Why not do one myself? And I wrote a song because I'm embarrassingly enough, I used to smoke weed back then, so I started smoking at 14. So like I wrote a song called what was it called? What was that song called? It was pretty much it was about weed, that's all I know. But I still have that song and it's so crazy. And it's trash compared to the music I have now, but everybody grows. But it was the first time I ever stepped in the studio and even recorded a song. It was called I don't even know what it's called, but I do know it was based off the Juvenile Back That Ass Up beat, but I remixed it and made a smoking song about it, about smoking weed and smoking gas. Oh, it was called Loud Pack. It was called Loud Pack. It was like, yeah, it was called Loud Pack. I still have it. It's crazy. I still have it to this day. But yes, that was the very first song that I actually went in the studio and recorded. And I recorded it with some friends of mine that were really into rap at the time. And I didn't take music serious. I was in college and everything. And I didn't take music serious like that, but they were like, "Oh, you should record that song. You should record." And I went into it, and then it actually came out pretty decent. And so I just kind of like was like, maybe I should step into this era because I mean I do have the background. My mom has the background. I've always grew up around the music and different genres of music. Like she was a rapper, but I was a singer, so I listened to a lot of R&B. And being that she was born in like the 70s, I grew up around like Alvin, like Marvin Gaye, Al Green, um, Patti LaBelle, Whitney Houston, Diana Ross, all those type of people. So like mashing all that stuff up with my generation, it just kind of happened. So I just kind of fell in love with it. And I just always wanted to bring, like now it's 2023, but I was born in the 90s, and I just want to bring R&B back because that R&B, Missy Elliott, Timberland, Aaliyah, all those type of things, they just kind of touched me a different way, and I just kind of wanted to bring that back. And so with that being said, I used a lot of things that she kind of listened to and my dad listened to, and I just kind of try to mash them up in my own way and embody it with my own personal experiences as well. So that's kind of how I fell in love with music, because there's no limits. There's no limits with it, and you can have fun, and it's just a piece in its own way.
Okay. So how do you describe the music, I guess, that you create?
The music that I create comes from, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of pain that I experienced as a child and as an adult. But like I said, Aaliyah was my biggest inspiration. Aaliyah and Whitney Houston and Patti LaBelle and Shaka Khan and all those people, they created music where they sung about sadness and pain, but you could two step to it. You could vibe to it. You could play it in the club and stuff like that. So I always wanted to create that type of music. Like, I wanted to speak my mind and talk about my pain, but not be sad all the time. Like, when you hear my music, I don't want you to feel sad. Like, the lyrics are sad, don't get me wrong, but the sound that comes behind it is not the same. And so I wanted people to be able to be comfortable with listening to sad music and still be upbeat with it. Like, it's okay to feel pain. It's okay to be heard and experience life. But music was my getaway, and I want people to have that as a getaway as well. So that's kind of where I try to go with my sound and my music when I do put it out.
Okay. So so describe the process for us. How do you create music? How does the from having the initial vision to the final product go for you?
So a lot of people are very amazed when they see me create, because you can send me a beat. If I relate to that beat, if I feel a vibe with that beat, I'm going to listen to it for like an hour, because I'm writing to it. And it's going to take me an hour to write, and it's going to take me an hour to record. And a lot of people are very shocked on how fast I create music. But I feel like the music tells a story. Like, if you have a producer that creates a beat, he has feeling. If he really has pain, if he really has experience, if he really has a story to tell with that beat, you can hear it. And if you hear it, you can write to it. And it's very easy to write to it, because more than likely, whether you are telling the same story he's telling or she's telling, you can pretty much create your own story with it. And my goal in music is, if that beat is not telling the story, I can't write to it. I can't vibe to it. I can't, correlate with it, So when it comes to writing, someone can send me a beat. If it sounds like a commercial beat, I'm probably not gonna write to it. But if it sounds like a beat that I know no one else has heard, and people can vibe to or two step to or just even relate to in their own way, it just comes naturally for me. Like, I've been through a lot in life. We're not gonna get that deep, but I've been through a lot. And so, because I've been through a lot, I've experienced a lot of different situations, to where that a beat to me is a story. And me, I was big in English. I even went to college and was an English major and everything. So I'm big on writing and poetry and everything, and pretty much telling the story. So I feel like it's more to a song than just dancing and being, how do you say, catchy or whatever. It's more so of, how can you relate to this sound? How can you relate to anything that I'm writing? Can you or can't you? So my goal is to make sure that everybody can relate, because it's easy to make something catchy. But can you relate to what I'm saying? And if you can relate, then more than likely you're going to hit play more than once. And that's my goal, is to make sure that you hit play more than once, because yes, it's easy to catch on to a catchy beat, but you might not know what they're talking about. My goal is to make sure that everybody can relate to where I come from, because I'm pretty sure I've been through things that a lot of people have been through. And I look at life like that. Like, you may go through something terrible, but somebody else is probably going through the same thing you're going through. And they might need to hear that song that relates to them. And why not be the person to give them that track, to give them that song, you know? So I just kind of take it personal. Everything's personal for me. So it just comes easily because it's my passion.
Hmm. Was there ever a time you had doubt in yourself or your music?
All the time. All the time. As an artist, like, it's easy to doubt yourself because, like, they tell you, oh, you need to have a lot of streams and this, and that to really be that person and really get the money and the people to follow you and stuff like that. But when you're starting off, you don't have that. You don't have the fan base. You don't have the streams. You don't get the funds and everything. But at the end of the day, you have those people that come out of the woodwork and they are like, oh, I heard your song and I love that song and it made me feel this way and da 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 da. So I just feel like it comes with the territory. You're going to always doubt yourself when it comes to music because you're going to look at those people that you look up to and you're going to expect the same platforms and the same, background and the same following that they have, but it doesn't just come like that. It doesn't come overnight. You have to keep pushing yourself. You have to keep pushing songs. Like, there are a lot of artists that are just now coming out, that are just now getting the recognition that they need, but they've been out for years. They've been out for years. And because they kept pushing those same songs and everything, people are just not relating to them. They're just not seeing them. They're just not hearing them. So it's all about your mental. Can you understand that it's okay to not be big and known as soon as you drop a song? You have to understand that it takes time, it takes work, it takes discipline, it takes, repetitiveness. Your song could be 6 or 7 years old. If you don't push that song the way it needs to be pushed for people to hear it, no one's going to hear it. And what's the point of it? You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to do this and you're going to step into this line of work, you have to understand that it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of understanding that it's okay to not be popular right now. But if you really are good at what you do, you're going to get there eventually. And once you realize that you can get there eventually, nothing can stop you.
Okay. Well, what do you feel is one of the biggest challenges that local Memphis artists face trying to come up?
Catchiness. Like, I feel like Memphis wise, we are known for our trap music. We're known for Gotti, Dolph, Zedzilla, all these people that have these catchy trap songs and everything like that. Most of the time, it's mostly rappers. There's not a lot of R&B that's really represented out here, and it's crazy because I think it's more so based on the hype. Like, everybody's focused on the hype and what's popular, so they kind of ignore what else is out here. But they fail to realize we're a blues city. We're a city that's known for our R&B and our blues. And even though we're just now getting known for our ratchetness and our violence and our trap music and stuff like that, like, we still have more to offer. And I feel like our biggest downfall is more so of, oh, this person took off because they were hyped on the rap and the trap and everything like that. But we can offer more. We have a lot more artists out here that are very dope and very artistic and can offer the city a lot. But we're more so just focused on being the center of attention right now. So I feel like the violence is more so advertised, the rap is more advertised, the trap and drugs is more advertised, more so than the R&B and the soul and the blues, which is where we started. And it's crazy because we have a whole street called Bill Street, and it's based on the blues. And it's dying down right now because all they want to hear is trap music. All they want to do is be, Instagram famous, Facebook famous, and, all that good stuff. But nobody's actually taking the time to listen to the music. And I feel like R&B artists end up having to go out of town and represent other cities in order to be seen and known. So I think that comes from, more so of it's just the hype right now. Whatever's popping is what they ride for. So eventually they'll be able to settle down and, say, hey, we got more to offer than just rap and trap. You know? But right now I think that's all that people are focused on at the moment. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What is the relationship like there between the radio stations and local hip hop artists and R&B artists?
Oh, one thing I can say, our local radio stations, I don't care how big they are, they do try their best to promote local artists. And we have a lot of local underground shows that we do out here. Like, I'm booked for a show pretty much every month, like at least two or three of them every month. And so that's our only way of getting out there. And I feel like our underground music world is way more popping than what people pay attention to. Like, people are paying attention to what's popping right now, but the money, the attention and everything else, people show up to those underground shows. And it's crazy because it's like they show up and they follow you and they represent you and they commend you on what work you're creating and everything like that. But when it comes to the commercial field of it, it's a little difficult. It's a little harder to promote and represent and everything else because they're looking at the commercial aspect of everything. They're like, oh, what can we sell easily and make money off of? So I feel like the underground world is overlooked commercially, but locally, we're a vibe. I'm not gonna lie, we're a vibe. We represent. We come out and we show out for each other, and we will push shows and ask those popping artists like Glockiana, freaking Glorilla, and all those people to show out and show up for us, and they come. Don't get me wrong, they come, but that's not what they advertise. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a little difficult to explain, but the underground shows are really where it's at. And once people realize that, they gonna show up a lot more than what they have been because we put money behind our music, and I'm not gonna lie, cause this stuff ain't cheap. Like when it comes to being at shows and booking venues to create shows and asking artists that are already out there to come to those shows, like they come, but we pay those funds. You get what I'm saying? So like I feel like we just need a little bit more advertisement and exposure when it comes to the underground field of music because our R&B world and our rap world is where it's at. We just ain't got that exposure yet.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully something changes here soon with the music that you're releasing, and the world takes notice to the talent that's there in Memphis.
Yes, sir. I pray every day.
What impact do you hope that your work has on the world?
Well, being from my background, I pray that the impact that I make is more so like I want people to be okay with feeling how they feel. Like a lot of music that I create, it comes from a lot of pain. It may not sound like pain, but it comes from a lot of pain. And if you really listen to the lyrics, I feel like you'll understand what I mean by that. And I just want people to understand that you're not the only one going through certain things, and life is life and life be lifing. Life be lifing. And it's okay that life lives. It's just about overcoming that pressure and those downfalls and those, hardships, and standing tall throughout it all. And I want to be the person that they look at to be like, okay, she overcame a lot. Because if you listen to my lyrics, you'll understand that I overcame a lot. And so when you realize I overcame a lot, forget the face, forget, the appeal and everything. Because you got to give that in order to be noticed. But forget all that. Like, listen to what I'm saying. Because if you listen to what I'm saying, you'll understand that it's okay. And everybody can overcome whatever they choose to overcome. And my goal in my music is to be the person that comes out with music and don't be sad all the time. Like, I want to talk about sad stuff, but not feel sad. I want people to listen to my music and just be like, dang, this girl went through a lot, but she making me happy. Like, she making me understand that it's okay to go through a lot. Like, we can overcome it and we can still keep pushing. I want to be able to make people feel okay to keep pushing, because I have to keep pushing regardless of how I feel. So I want people to feel that same way as well. And that's my goal, is to make people feel that way, that it's okay. Like, no matter what trials and tribulations you experience, you can overcome them and you can stay positive and you can still two-step. No matter what, you can cry and still two-step. It's okay. Like, life is life. And once you realize life is gonna life, you can overcome whatever life brings to the table. And that's my goal in music, is to just make people happy. And I want to be happy. So my goal is to make other people happy, regardless of what we're going through.
Okay. Well, tell us about your latest release that you have out now, Too Far. What inspired that song, and how long did it take you to create that project?
So Too Far, I'm not gonna lie to you. Too Far is about 3 years old. So I've held on to Too Far for 3 years because I just always felt like, when I created that song, it was just it. It just hit different. And the reason I wrote that song was because there are a lot of artists out here that get involved, like, business wise, where they mix business with pleasure. And that song was an experience that I had where I mixed business with pleasure. And even though that's not what's going on now, it happened at the time. I just felt like, why not put a song out where I know plenty of females get twisted and into a situation where they do mix business with pleasure, or men for that extent, like, they do too, like. So I was like, why not do something that I know most people do? We mix business with pleasure, but why not make it a song where, we can all relate to and vibe to, and just kind of be okay with listening to, because regardless if somebody agrees with us or not, life just be happening. And you make dumb decisions all the time, and you regret certain things and stuff like that. And that was a song that was very personal to me, but I just felt like a lot of people could relate to it. And even though I wrote it 3 years ago, it took me no time to write, because that beat that I bought, it was very much so exclusive. And I just kind of wanted to step out my comfort zone and sing a song. It was the very first songs, to be exact, that I stepped out of my comfort zone to sing about my personal relationships and my personal decisions and mistakes and everything like that. So I just wanted to do so without being a crybaby about it. And that was my way of not doing that. It's not being a crybaby, but understand, okay, I made a mistake. And I made a song about it. And it bumps. So, hey, why not share it with the world? See if anybody else can relate to it. And a lot of people have. And as far as the streams go, because I just released it last Friday, and my streams are going haywire. So I feel like a lot of other people can relate to it in their own way. So I feel like maybe I did something. Like, even though I held on to it for 3 years and was scared to release it, it meant something to somebody else. And that means a lot to me. So that's how that came about.
Yeah, okay. Definitely understand. Well, what advice would you give to fellow artists, R&B artists, trying to make it out of Memphis? What could you tell them?
So a lot of people always say that R&B is not R&B anymore. And my goal is to bring R&B back. Like I said, I listen to a lot of Aaliyah, Timberland, Missy Elliott, all those people, the people we grew up on, like Shaka Khan, Anita Baker, all those people. I feel like the advice I could give to other R&B artists, regardless of what people say, come from the heart with your music. It does not matter if you feel comfortable or not talking about something that people tell you, oh, don't nobody want to hear that. Forget that. Like, write about something that somebody else telling you that they don't want to hear, because that's what's going to take you outside your box that you're put in as far as R&B. Because yeah, the goal is to be catchy, but you're going to end up being catchy by just being yourself and keep pushing and not letting the trap and the rap get in your head to a point where you forget where you come from musically. Like, if you can sing, sing your butt off. It's not that many R&B artists in Memphis that come out and be popular. Yeah, we got K Michelle, we got a couple other artists and stuff like that, but be different, be you, and don't let no rapper, don't let no man, no female, no nobody tell you that you don't know what you're doing. If you love this, keep going and keep doing it, regardless of what's popping or not, because somebody gonna hear you. And you're going to end up being great because somebody heard you. And the whole goal in music is to be heard, because your goal is to touch somebody. So if you don't have the intention to touch somebody, stop doing it, because it's a waste of time. You can sing your butt off, but if you ain't got nothing to say, you ain't got no pain behind it, you ain't got no feels behind it, what's the point? Do it because you love it. Don't do it just because you want to be popular, because you'll never get anywhere with that. Like, let music move you. And if it moves you, it'll move somebody else. Like, it's Memphis. We a blue city. Like, we talk about pain a lot. We go through a lot of pain and trials and tribulations and everything like that. Why not be the person to show that and remind them of that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not represent that as a Memphis artist? Why be commercial? You can't get anywhere being commercial. People are gonna talk about you and da da da. Forget trying to make it. Like, do what you love. Talk about what you love and keep going, regardless of what somebody else says. Just keep going, cause it's gonna take a lot of work. But as long as you stay dedicated and disciplined, you'll get to where you're trying to get to.
Hmm. Well, tell all our viewers, how do we find you social media wise, your music? How do they look you up and follow you?
So if you want to look me up, you can easily look me up as B, the letter B, dot Lakeitha. I'm known as B.Lakeitha. You can look me up through Google, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I will be available on all platforms as long as you spell the name the way that it's spelt. It is basically B. Dot Lakeitha. Keith with an LA at the beginning and the A at the end. That's what I tell everybody. It's Keith with the LA at the beginning and the A at the end. And it's actually my government name. But it's very easy to find. It's just Google me if you can't find me on Instagram or Facebook. Not to be cocky or anything, but because I know some people take it that way. But honestly, if you really are trying to listen to my music and find me, it's B, the letter B, dot Lakeitha. And I'm available. Just press play.
Yeah. Well, we definitely appreciate you for taking your time to talk to us today. And we wish you much success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all giving me the time to talk today. So thank you.
Yeah, anytime. Be Lakeitha.